This is it. This is the last Gundam that I'll be reviewing from 2021 in 2021. This is the last one. I did the rest, again, besides the SD kits. And it's kind of fitting that this was the first ever mobile suit to be on screen in a Gundam anime. But anyway, let's get right into this. As usual, this video right here would not have been possible without those absolutely awesome people over at HobbyLink Japan. So if you do want a Zaku of your own or for all your gunpla and plamo needs, link down there in the description. As usual, starting off with what we get inside of the box once this is all snapped together, and as well as the high-grade Zaku itself, we've got an arsenal including the Zaku machine gun, Zaku bazooka, heat hawk, spare drum for the machine gun. We've got some alternate parts for changing how the Zaku looks, including some rubbery skirts, commander-style head parts. We've got 4 alternate hands, that is not including the 2 attached. We've got a base adapter, and when it comes to the stickers for this kit, all we get is a pink one for the mono eye. But anyway, once again, also as usual, let's start out with the aesthetics. So opening up on the aesthetics once again with that 360 spin so you can see every angle of this kit so you can decide whether or not you want one for yourself. Now, all I have to say is this variant of the Zaku right here really does reach for the organic looking nature that we would have seen with the original Zaku back in 1979. They had more of a kind of almost humanoid or human or organic natural feel to them than big clunky mecha. They all kind of look like they're made out of rubber or were just big dudes painted green. This captures that a lot. For the most part, it is very anime accurate. The articulation on this makes sure it poses naturally all of the time, and there's just something about the classic Zaku minty green that makes me very, very happy. There's a lot of Zakus out there, but this combines all of the factors that makes a Zaku pretty much perfectly. I love this kit. Absolutely beautiful. Let's get in a bit closer. There are some kits out there that are perfectly simple. They make simplicity perfect, and what I mean by that is, this looks like an extremely plain kit. But this right here is anything but simple. It may look plain on the outside, but what it's rocking under the hood is ridiculous. So when it comes to the build of this kit, it actually takes quite a little bit of time. This is no army builder kit, definitely. An army builder kit to me needs to have 2 particular aspects in order to be that way. And just in case you don't know what an army builder kit is, it's a kit you can buy a whole ton of, build up a bunch so you've got yourself basically a big old squad of grunts. What I feel the 2 major factors for making a good army builder kit is 1, they need to be cheap, and 2, they need to be fast to build. Now when it comes to a Zaku, a high-grade Zaku, this one isn't all that cheap. It comes in at about $15. To me, a army builder kit should be 10 or less, with emphasis on the less. That's why I'm really hoping that at some point we will get an entry-grade Zaku. The second factor is build time. Are they quick to build? Something like a 30-minute missions or the Leo from the high-grade After Colony line. Those are fast to build. This isn't. This is incredibly beautiful. There's some nice aspects to the build, and the one thing that really blows my mind, and I didn't notice it the first time I built one of these, is the way that they've made the tops of some of the pegs look like the top of a screw, so they look like a mechanical element of the actual Zaku once the parts are put together. Now that is smooth. So when it comes to the included stickers, we've just got this one right here, which is for using up on that mono eye, so that is it. However, there is one thing that is quite color inaccurate in this box. Well, a couple of things, and that isn't necessarily from this kit. So these are left over from a previous kit. They're not new for this one right here, and that is the bazooka and the heat hawk. Both of these do not have stickers that they should have, or color that they should have. The heat hawk should have a yellow blade, and that bazooka should have something on that sight segment right there. But besides that, otherwise, color in here is great. So when it comes to mold lines and seam lines, this kit has escaped most of them, as well as any kind of over-the-top nubbage. But we do have some mold lines, especially on the sides of the thighs, like you can see right there. And the piping on this particular Zaku is made out of a kind of pliable rubber, and that does have a bit of a seam on it that is harder than generic plastic to remove. So that is on the face, around the waist, and on the sides of the legs. But besides that, you're not really going to have a whole ton of stuff to clean up. But yeah, if you feel like you've seen this version of the Zaku before, it's because you have in this one right here. So I've done a full review of this one right here, which is the high-grade Char Zaku II. This is also the kind of revived variant, the one that came out in 2020. These are the exact same kit. The one we're looking at today is this one, 100% the same, just of course the color is different. I've always been a fan of the green mass production Zaku over Char's personal colors personally. There's just something about it, it's just so perfect, iconic, awesome, and honestly I want 20 of these things. This is an awesome high grade. Let's check out the accessories. So jumping on back to the beginning of the video, there's absolutely everything that comes in the box, so let's check it all out one by one. So first off in here we've got the Zaku machine gun. This is exactly the same as what we would have seen before. This has a moving sight segment up top just like so, and we've also got a moving handle up front. So when attaching the Zaku machine gun, this is one of the rare kits that can actually use either or hand in order to hold it. We've got two, that is a left and a right, long-range weapon trigger finger holding hands. So that means you can actually have a left-handed Zaku, which is great, but what I didn't actually realize is that means you're going to have to flip the handle on the front of the Zaku's machine gun, which you can do. We've also got plenty of articulation in here with this kit to make sure you get the best, most dynamic kick-ass poses out of this Zaku. There it is with the machine gun attached. And I will mention that this machine gun is an older mold than the actual Zaku itself, so it's not as nice, has a lot of mold lines and a lot of required cleanup. It also feels a little on the rubbery side compared to the rest of the plastic, but besides that, it's alright. So next up in here we've got the Zaku Bazooka. Now this has a bunch of moving parts as well. That's the handle, round back, the handle up front, as well as the sight. And once again, because we have a left and right weapon holding hand, that means you can actually have yourself a mad Zaku pilot who dual wields weapons like this. Bazooka and machine gun akimbo. This is a really cool option. I really like when there's a lot of extra hands in the kit, and once again for a $15 kit, this is a nice little arsenal and a lot of options. Also because these hands are exactly the same as what we would have seen with the Origin kits, I assume you can use that anti-ship rifle too, which is one of my favorite weapons of all time. The last weapon we have in here is the Heat Hawk. Like I mentioned earlier on, the blade should be yellow for that heat chop chop, but in this kit, it is not. Once again, here we do have the option of a left or a right holding hand, which again is phenomenal. I'm going with the right hand this time because we do have one and only one widespread open hand, which is for the left hand. So in order to get this pose right here, that's why I chose those hands. The Heat Hawk is simple, effective, does what it needs to do, but the blade is not in yellow, so you may want to paint that. So when it comes to storage on the Zaku, first off, right, here we have this little adapter gizmo that attaches on like so. And then that ball joint pops into said hole over here. And there we go, simple but effective. Next up then we've got this little drop down segment on the butt flap. And that is then where we can store the bazooka when it is not in use again. Quite effective. We've got a spare machine gun drum that can be stored. What? I thought it could be stored up here, but no, I guess that's just for those explosives that come with the Origin version. I don't think there's anything we can store up there in this. Where can we stick this? In the side skirt hole? Let's see. Come on, can it fit? Whoa. Yeah, it can be stored in there, like so. From what I can see in the manual, there is nowhere to keep that machine gun when it's not in use, so I guess that is just gonna have to be held. But that is pretty cool. I love a model kit that can hold all of its equipment on the body at the same time. That is nothing left over, and that makes me very, very happy. Next up in here, we've got something that is a little unusual for a high grade. That is this, a base adapter. So there is no hole in the Zaku's butt in order to stick it on an action base, which can be a little annoying at times if you whip out a stand, want to set up a bit of a diorama and realize you don't have the adapter and you don't know where it is. However, on the flip side, that does mean you don't have a hole in the back all the time. This just attaches in like this, it's angled out to the back, and that means it does not get in the way of the legs, which is something that some butt holes in Gundam kits can kind of do, but there we go. There's them up on that, and it holds on pretty damn good. So last up in here, we've got a couple of accessories for changing up the Zaku. That are these. So that is some rubberized skirts, as well as a commander top of the head. Now these are exactly what we would have seen with the Char version right here. The rubber skirts move like so it makes sure you get that organic Zaku II kind of feel that we would have seen in the 1979 anime. However, if you want to paint your kit or just like the plastic look, then you've got a set of plastic ones in here too. Personally, I prefer the look of the plastic ones. And if you are a bit of a stickler, the green of the rubber ones does not quite match the darker green on the Zaku. It's actually a little between the two greens, so it might stand out a bit. I guess let's throw it on and find out. So right there is the Zaku before changing anything, so that's the plastic skirt, standard head. And there's what it looks like with the commander head and the rubber skirt. So the rubber skirt does not match exactly, and it does look a little bit rough compared to the standard version. But what this does give you in articulation is absolutely and utterly unprecedented. And speaking of which, let's do that. So now moving on to the build and the articulation, and that is where this right here shines. This is solid as a rock, besides one aspect. I found this with the Char version 2, but eventually this wrist starts to get a little bit loose. I'm sure that'll be an easy enough fix, but it's odd that that actually happens. It's like if you ever hyper extend it in a direction, it will never be the same again. And that, well, yeah, just be careful with the Zaku machine gun. It's a bit of a pain in the ass. Anyway, let's go. The head right here giving us a solid giggity goo. So that is a ball joint up top. And what we have down below that is a hinge. So very, very nice. Also, underneath the bottom of the head here, we've got this little switch for turning the mono eyes. So there it is looking off to the that way. And there it is looking off to the other way. Popping that back on, beautiful. So when it comes to the shoulder as well as a shoulder joint, we also have a detaching segment here, which gives us all of this roll and movement forward and back in the actual torso. So there's the shoulder all the way to the front. Just look at that. Look at that. That is absolutely beautiful. And there it is all the way to the back. So I will mention though, this kit does not have the standard shoulders at all. There's no polycaps in this actually. Yeah, that's a big deal. This has no polycaps. Forgot to mention that earlier on. But anyway, this does limit your kit bashing potential without modification. The shoulders, of course, are asymmetrical. This one gives us some up and down, and it can swing forward and back, like so. This one on the other side is on a ball joint, so it has a bit of a movement, as well as a tilt like that, but kind of that kind of action right there. And what moving that shoulder does is facilitate the arm moving all the way up. That's that side, and there is that side, so not so bad. If you want more than that, you're going to have to flip it round. Next up in here, we do have that full spin at the upper arm, but we also have a spin right here just above the elbow to get you, well, pretty much anything that you want. The elbow bend, or should I say one of the elbow bends is below that spinning point and the other one is above that. So this can do a lot of wild, wacky movements. Or align them together to get one mega bend. It can go further than that when that's not blocking it. Double jointed seems to be the name of the game here because we do have a double jointed wrist, which gives us a lot of that nice, natural, organic movement that really does replicate what we would have seen in the original Gundam anime. When it comes to the ab crunch in here, we've got this extending joint here, which gives us so much. There it is all the way to the front, and there it is all the way to the back. So that is nice, even giving us some side-to-side tilt. Very impressive, especially with all of that rotation and crunch. The hip joint in here is a fixed joint, it is a peg. And when it comes to the kicks, there is the kick all the way up to the front, very, very nice. Then all the way out to the back, those rubber skirts not getting in the way at all. And there's the split, so wow, damn wow. Next, we've got that full spin at the upper leg. This little segment here is rubberized, so it doesn't get in the way of the knee bend. And speaking of which, there is that double knee bend. Again, this rubber part just bends with the knee. So there we go. As you can see, it goes back to where it should. So getting the foot on the ground to check out that functional movement, aka what it can do without taking the foot off the ground. And there it is all the way to the front. That is super impressive. Then all the way out to the back. Once again, very, very nice. And as for the side to side, we've got all the way from there to there. And without sacrificing the old school look of the Zaku, that is impressive. The foot here, as cute as the Zaku's foot is, doesn't do anything. So yeah, it pretty much goes without saying that the articulation on this kit is ridiculously good. The best articulation you might actually find on a Zeon kit. So if you want a Zaku that can really bust a move, pull off some awesome poses, then this is the one you want. But I will mention, there is that issue with the wrists coming a little bit loose. So anyway, that right there is it for the review. And once again, this is a platinum tier kit. $15 for the best high-grade Zaku that is around. And I, personally totally love the origin version. It's so mechanical, so awesome, so gritty looking. But this just captures the soul of the old anime. It's got the color, it's got the look, and it's got the organic feel. Everything bends just the right way to look a little bit human while still being mechanical. So yeah, when it comes to the looks, it nails that 1979 look with some nice modern sculpting features. Accessories wise, sure, these are some recycled weapons, but they still hold up if you give them a little bit of extra effort. And we get a literal armory in here, and it can hold, well, all its weapons with both hands. Lastly then, when it comes to the articulation, this is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. So this gets 5 out of 5 from me in every aspect, making this platinum tier and as good as gunpla gets. This kit is all that. The Char's version, this version, both phenomenal, and you need them. And if you want to find them, then check out that link down there in the description. So as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more gunpla reviews, and I will see you next time. Once again, I cannot finish this video right here without thanking those who support me here on the channel as members and over on Patreon, including Craig Jerry, Caleb Engelhardt, Van Fawn, Global Frequency Studios, Lauren Sihak, Joseph Kukluk, Mr. Winter, Forsetti, Joe, Org59061, and Gunpla UK Limited.